Welcome back to our 30-day Bible series, and if you're new here, my name is Uchechi, and we've been on a journey to read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. If you need to see the inspiration on why we started this challenge and the previous recaps, go ahead and check out my page. But here's what we read for days 16 to 18. For the rest of 2 Kings, after the life of Elijah, we see many kings that rose into power and also fell. Some obeyed God, but others didn't. But kings that stood out to me in particular is Hezekiah. When he served the Lord faithfully and it was his time to go, he prayed and made a request to God, extending his life for a total of 15 years. The book of 1 Chronicles go more into detail about the life of David, and the book of 2 Chronicles goes more into detail about the life of Solomon. So I encourage you to check those out. Now, the book of Ezra and Nehemiah have one major thing in common. Here we see a rebuilding of God's temple, but they are faced with great opposition. We see that in the book of Ezra, it got to the point that King Cyrus did release a decree for them to rebuild, but unfortunately there were a lot of letters that were sent to keep their building at a standstill, accusing Israelites of rebelling against other kingdoms, but they served the King of Kings once again. And we also see this in Nehemiah. With his great burden to leave the palace to rebuild God's temple, there was a lot of resistance that came from Sanballat, but surprisingly, even with the resistance, them building with one hand and having weapons in the other, it took 52 days for them to complete the building. In the book of Esther, it was not just about her beauty or her royalty, but the power of her influence, which is true leadership. Esther was able to use her position, and God favored her amongst all the women to bring deliverance to the Jews who actually were threatened by Haman and his plans to wipe out their entire nation. But because of Esther and Mordecai's efforts, that was able to come to a stop. What I love about the book of Job is that the Lord uses this opportunity to actually brag about how amazing he is, how righteous he is. But the accuser Satan came and said, it's because you have a hedge of protection around him. In one instance, Job lost his children, his cattle, his livestock, and he even lost his health. But yet he still did not curse God. Even though he had a lot of harsh things to say, he did not deny who God was. The Lord blessed him with a double portion. With Psalms written by David, majority of the songs are talking about the greatness and wonder of God. It also shares vulnerable moments where David was weak and despair, depressed, and cried out to God for help. One of the scriptures that stand out to me is that he actually says that in a multitude of my anxieties, the Lord comforts him. My favorite chapter was the longest chapter, Psalms 119. It just talks about the power and the potencies of God's word. And of course, Proverbs is that book. If you're trying to gain some wisdom to apply to your life in every area, Proverbs is a book for you. I look forward to seeing you for days 19 to 21, and I'll see you tomorrow for our recap.